I'll be abundantly clear from the beginning, I prefer the Cybertruck, okay? I just want to make sure that is known. I'm kind of a Tesla fanboy. I enjoy incredibly minimalistic, sometimes too minimalistic interiors, and I like weird designs that have functional benefits. So the Cybertruck, I completely agree, it's probably going to sell better than the Rivian R1T. It's going to be more popular, especially on YouTube. There's going to be way more people saying, look at the range, look at the price. The Cybertruck has bigger bed, more functionality, it can seat more people, it's got a better range, it's got faster acceleration, all that. That's great. But the purpose of today's video is basically to explain what the Rivian R1T has going for it and how it can kind of stand in its own realm, and why I don't think it'll be a flop, and I don't think the Cybertruck will make the R1T pointless, but it'll have its own set of unique advantages against the Cybertruck, and let's just address the first one, the timeline. Rivian R1T, reason I wish more people were talking about it, is supposed to start initial deliveries in less than 2 months. Right now, on the website, they haven't delayed it yet, but essentially they're saying June of 2021 is when they expect the initial deliveries to begin, and we can actually start seeing Rivians on the road, not being tested, not being prototyped, as many have been spotted recently in different areas, and prototypes have been used on cross-continental road trips for TV shows like The Long Way Up, where they're actually using them out in the wild. Blue Origin is using them for checking out on rocket parts out in the field, and every now and again I see another one cited in the Bay Area, and I think it's just a simple fact the Rivian will hit the market first. As I've talked about with the Cybertruck, it is not the top priority at Giga Texas, which I really wish it was, because it's probably my dream Tesla, and I want that more than any other vehicle to come out, so I'm bummed out by it. But the truth is, the 4680 batteries that are going to be produced at Giga Texas are all going to be designated primarily to Model Y production at that facility. That's the vehicle they're starting with, that's where all of the parts and supply chains are going to be devoting their attention to, and the Cybertruck is sadly a bit on the back burner, and simply because of the limited supply of 4680s Tesla has, I would be very shocked if Cybertruck deliveries started at all this year. In fact, I would say there's a pretty decent chance of the first Cybertruck deliveries not taking place until maybe Q2 of next year, and that means that there's going to be 1 or 2 or potentially even 3 quarters where the Rivian R1T will be out, you know, it'll be in customers' hands, people will be driving it around, using it, and it will be pretty much the only all-electric pickup truck on the market, and it's also going to be having decent range, and people are going to be camping with them and taking advantage of all their unique features like the center column storage area, and the truck as a whole is a bit smaller than the Cybertruck, so it serves a different market. But that kind of ties me into my next point. The Cybertruck is rumored to be quite large. I understand that it's going after a market of F-150 buyers, as that is the most popular pickup truck in the United States, so it makes sense for Tesla's rival to be pretty similar in size, but at the same time, pickup trucks like the Toyota Tacoma are also still pretty popular. There's a lot of people out there that want a pickup, but also don't want something that's really large and difficult to park or fit in their garage, where the Rivian R1T might become pretty handy. I know it's more expensive and it's not going to be as durable, but if someone wants a pickup that they can easily park in different parking spaces and they don't have to worry about it being so large that you're worried about scratching cars next to you, and Rivian R1T will probably fit in charging stalls a lot better because it's not going to be as massive as the Cybertruck, and knowing that just recently they're starting to make superchargers built for Cybertrucks and they have to be much wider, there's a decent chance that even when Cybertruck deliveries begin, you're going to have a really hard time backing it into all of the supercharger stalls that Tesla has built that are kind of narrow, and you're going to be trying to back your giant sharp stainless steel truck in between two $90,000 Model X's and hope, oh man, I hope I don't scratch them, and you're basically going to stick out like a sore thumb. Hopefully Auto Park gets better by then. Right now it's kind of bumpy, but either way, a smaller truck I don't think is inherently a bad thing. In fact, that's why I've been a big advocate for a smaller Cybertruck, and I was very excited to hear Elon talk about how in the future they'd probably do a world version, you know, Wolverine style Cybertruck that would be a bit smaller, that would do well overseas, but I'd also really want one in the United States as well. Rivian R1T is kind of already there, so the portability aspect of the truck is there, and while there's all kinds of benefits to having a Tesla, between the autonomy and the supercharger network access, being a Tesla can also have its fair share of drawbacks that some people don't like. Again, not me. I like the minimal interior of the Cybertruck, and honestly, I'd be totally happy if the production model was identical to the prototype. Interior, exterior, I don't really need them to change too much other than make a smaller version, but I'm a big fan of the yoke design. I know that functionally it serves very little benefits, I just like the way it looks, and I think I could very easily get comfortable with not having gear stalks and have the vehicle guess the direction I want to go in, and if I want to override it, I just interact with the display. But as I've seen a lot of you guys in the comments, many of you aren't interested in that, and every time we talk about no gear stalks on the Model S or X prototypes, a lot of people get pretty upset by that and say no, they want to switch, they want some type of override, they want something that allows them to have a manual interaction, not with the display, but with a gear stalk that allows them to switch between reverse and drive, and that appears to be something that Rivian is prioritizing. So if you're interested in going all electric with your next pickup truck, Rivian R1T is going to kind of retain a lot of that traditional manual control that many truck owners are probably pretty comfortable with. And knowing Tesla, seeing all of these Model S prototypes around the Bay Area, I saw one myself last weekend. While there may be some debate on whether or not they go with the full steering wheel or the yoke, pretty much all of these prototypes have not had gear stalks. This appears to be something Tesla is pretty passionate about, and in my opinion, that means we are more than likely not going to have a gear shifter on the Cybertruck or a blinker switch, as the prototype didn't have one, and I don't see that being something that they make optional or they bring back for the production model. I could end up being wrong once we get the Cybertruck update, hopefully this quarter, but at least if we go off of prototypes, the Rivian R1T seems to be supporting that, and alongside that, also keeping a driver display, which I know some people really appreciate. They want their eyes to be close to the road, and they like having their speed and a bit of information right beneath where they're looking. Cybertruck isn't really going to have that, and on top of that, it's a pretty wide vehicle. Cybertruck's supposed to be big, and I'm sure that's going to be reflected on the interior as well, which means looking over at the Cybertruck display and looking at your speed might be a bit more of a reach to the eyes than the traditional Model 3 and Y. Hopefully the larger 17-inch display allows it to be easier to see how fast you're going, but this is a new market for electric vehicles to be entering, and I'm excited that Rivian is kind of pioneering this division. But the main reason I'm interested in the rollout of this, and I would love to test drive one as soon as possible, is because electric vehicles are always kind of looked at as just either tiny town cars or high-priced luxury sedans, and making them so expensive and so luxurious and fancy, whereas Rivian, at least they seem to be pushing a lot that this vehicle's meant to get dirty and get outside, and you're meant to go camping with it. It's not just a luxury vehicle. In fact, most of the time you see pictures of the Rivian on their website, it's almost always not on paved roads. They always like showing it off-road and being used intentionally as an adventure vehicle, which is cool. And I also applaud Rivian for still being a company that hasn't gone public without delivering vehicles to consumers. Very, very common these days for any EV brand to want to capitalize now and raise money, so they go public years before they actually deliver any products to people. Rivian has somehow found a way to avoid that, probably because of big investors they've had like Amazon. But I guess that's likely one of my biggest concerns with Rivian, is just that, you know, they've committed to this 100,000 delivery vehicle goal with Amazon by 2030, and I know that battery supplies are the main bottleneck of production, and I'm sure that's going to be a bottleneck of production for the R1T. So I guess I'm just a little concerned that all of the batteries Rivian gets a hold of are going to go straight to the delivery vans, and very little will be left over for the R1T and R1S. So once the Cybertruck production is up and running, it will probably start to outnumber the Rivians, simply from the price points and the ranges, but I still know a lot of people out there that just can't get comfortable with the Cybertruck exterior, or interior for that matter, and I think the Rivian R1T plays a crucial role at going after more of that traditional pickup truck market and making sure that some of those interior benefits that pickup truck people care about, whether it be a full steering wheel. I can imagine if Tesla gets away with the yoke on the Model S and X and decides that that's going to be the standard, and you know how Tesla loves to make their production models very, very close to the prototype. What if the Cybertruck only comes with a yoke and there's not really an easy way to swap it out for a full steering wheel? I remember a lot of people out there expressing their concern that if the Cybertruck comes with a yoke, it's almost a no deal for them. A lot of people I know would say it's a deal breaker, and then the R1T starts to become a bit more of a worthy contender. Sure, it's more expensive and it's not as durable and it's not as big of a vehicle, but some people really, really want to have that full steering wheel, especially when they're backing things up and attaching a trailer to the back and they want to drive and look out the window in a really, really effective manner. I think there's a market for a less Blade Runner looking pickup truck out there, so I'm really excited for first deliveries to begin, and I'm also just trying to get you guys hyped. Let's talk more about the R1T. We might actually see these things make delivery soon, and hey, a company that is able to mass produce lots of electric vehicles of a new genre of pickups, which we haven't seen brought to market before, and was able to do that without going public and trying to pump a stock, I'd say we gotta hand it to them. That's pretty impressive. And on top of that, they can also reuse a lot of the parts of the R1T for the R1S, which should start start deliveries in August, and that, as I've talked about before, is a really great Model X competitor because it's a full-size SUV, still with all of the great off-roading benefits, and you can get a 7-seater at no additional charge, plus still have a roof rack, whereas the Model X can't, and the Model X is more expensive. I think Rivian has two really solid products they're going to be hitting the market with this year, and I'm excited for them. I can't wait to try them. So let me know what your guys' biggest concerns or hopes are for the Rivian lineup. Thank you for watching. Hope you have an excellent rest of your day. Take care.